What's up, guys? What's up, Howard? Welcome back. Dr. Jaws here, and tonight we are celebrating episode 100 with. Oh, I should have been playing this video. Sorry. With none other than carcharias, the white shark, also known commonly as the great white. So, this is the largest predatory shark. Roy, what's up, man? Welcome back. Hope you guys both had a really good weekend. This is the largest predatory shark in the world, and it really needs no introduction, but there's a lot of really cool research and a lot of really great footage to review tonight, so I'm really excited. But hope you guys had a really good weekend, and thank you guys. Both of you actually have been here for pretty much almost since the very first episode, so thank you guys for sticking with the community and being here for episode 100. It's kind of amazing and hard to believe that we've done 100 episodes together. I picked tonight Civilization 3 soundtrack because I know I use it kind of, not a lot, but like more often than not, and it's kind of my favorite music for the stream, so I was like, yeah, might as well do it. Might as well indulge. It's episode 100. But before we dive into the white shark, thank you, Howard Care, for this really cool piece of artwork, which I was so excited to see this for tonight because we are going to go into a little bit of the predator-prey dynamics between white sharks and orcas, also known as killer whales. But this is a really, really cool piece of art. The Devil's Teeth Farallon Islands, which is a very famous white shark location, where you have this really cool interaction between a great white going after a fur seal, and then also competing with a killer whale or an orca whale in a pod of orcas. Orcas are the only known natural predator of white sharks. And I'm sorry, I was reading at the same time Dr. Jaws livestream number 100. I really appreciate that you signatured that, Howard, so thank you. And I think this is your first piece of art for 2025, so this is really exciting, starting the new year in a really fun way. So thank you so much for submitting this. Oh man, I'm super excited for this shark. So I think what we'll do is I will just kind of share what I know. Oh, thank you, Roy. Absolutely, thank you. I'll share what I know as far as white sharks go while we look at some really great footage. And I honestly, most people know really what these guys look like and, how they move and how they behave. There's a lot of commonly known facts of white sharks. So I'll try to kind of keep it to, things that are maybe unique that people didn't really know. And I'll do my best to kind of do that. So with that, let's get started. So white sharks, first kind of little fun. I kind of like to think of it as a fun shark trivia fact. The official FAO name is white shark. It's actually not great white. It's white shark. So I kind of think it's kind of fun because this shark, it's obviously extremely charismatic. It's kind of like the T-Rex of the ocean. It's like there's nothing else like it. And I have to say, when I was prepping for this stream, I too got really excited and it really kind of got those chills about talking about white sharks. Just because there's nothing else like them and they're huge and they're awe-inspiring. But people do get sometimes caught up in the charisma, and they really, really love these sharks, and there's so much research and so much appeal, and the movie Jaws and the novel Jaws are centered around a white shark. But I kind of feel like colloquially, great white shark is it's a name that's commonly used, but I really like that. The actual official name in English is white shark. It's just plain white shark. And I kind of feel like people who study white sharks, they kind of stick to that name. So just kind of a fun little piece of not trivia, but just kind of something, a vibe I've kind of gotten as far as the shark community goes. Usually people who treat sharks all the same, they refer to it by the official name, which is white shark. So fun little tidbit. But as far as actual behavior and kind of maybe more interesting facts, these sharks are known to spy hop. And they're actually known to be maybe potentially the most intelligent sharks, or one of the most intelligent sharks. And the theory behind that is very few sharks go after seals the way this species does. And you do have to kind of, as a shark, you do have to kind of make some very tricky calculations of this land-based creature being in the water and being as evasive as it is, and how do you do that timing of sneaking up on it and predicting like when it's on land and when it's in the water. And spy hopping is something that's kind of unique with this species. Oh, not unique actually. Some sharks do this. Some other sharks do this, but the white sharks will actually stick their head out of the water to look around and then swim back in. So dogfish do this. Smoothhounds do this. But white sharks do this, and part of the theory behind that is might be spotting for seals. And also some of the famous clips of people you probably have seen some clips of white sharks coming up to a boat and people like rubbing their noses and like their heads are gently coming out of the water and they're opening their mouths and people rub their noses as they sink back down. That's kind of like spy hopping. So or kind of attributed or kind of related to spy hopping behavior. So. Which is kind of cool. It's really cool that it's something unique to the species, or not unique to the species, but something that's like it's one of the few sharks that we've seen that kind of behavior in. And again, there has been some research as far as the intelligence of white sharks. Just being the kind of hunter that it is, demands a very kind of advanced. It demands like kind of a more advanced processing capability. When you think of basking sharks, who are purportedly to have some of the smaller brains or smallest brains in the shark world, basking sharks passively swim and they have their mouths open, and their prey item plankton is very easy to rake in. But white sharks, being active hunters, they have to deal with a much more challenging landscape as far as like calculating seals. Being like Howard said, seals are very flexible and very quick, kind of calculating when they'll be there, trying to keep up with them, just there's something behind that is kind of interesting. And people have talked about that white sharks might have a little bit more intelligence than other sharks, but we'll get into that more tonight as we look at more of the research, and we'll see what we can learn with that. So white sharks are cosmopolitan in distribution. They're pretty much found everywhere, that as long as it's not like the actual poles, which is pretty cool. So for something that seems like is so charismatic and so like famous and it's so exotic, like the size and like the fear that it inspires, like it just feels like outer worldly, and it's kind of cool to think about that and realize that these sharks are pretty much found everywhere. So we have white sharks off Virginia, where I am, and they are up and down the Atlantic coast of the United States. They are famously up and down the Pacific coast of the United States, not really in Washington or like Vancouver, and this is largely because of orcas, like killer whales, predating on white sharks. Yes, they also evolved from hunting fish to hunting mammals, learning as they go. Love that comment, Howard. Yes, absolutely. And I'll get to that in a second. But white sharks avoid areas where there's a high theorized or hypothesized to avoid areas where there's a high concentration of killer whales. So you don't really see them in the Pacific Northwest, like the far reaches of that, but they are in the Pacific coast, famously in Southern California. Famous white shark locations are South Africa, Australia, but again, you can find them pretty much everywhere in the ocean, or nearly everywhere in the ocean. They are in the Mediterranean, they're in the Indian Ocean, they're in the Pacific. Hawaii has white sharks. Interesting enough, the British Isles don't seem to have white sharks. And I'm curious if that's maybe related to like the Northern Seas population of orca whales. There is a very famous population in Norway, but I wonder how close, or like I wonder the extent of the territory of orca whales in that area, and if it extends to maybe the British Isles. I'm not 100% sure, but anyway. Howard made a really good point. They also evolved from hunting fish to hunting mammals. So that's another cool thing about white sharks is that when you look at shark evolutionary history, this is a big, beefy, highly specialized kind of mako shark. That's kind of like a fun way to look at it. So originally there was this group of sharks, the Isurus group, which include modern makos today. And these are really super fast, torpedo-like, fish eaters. But then one subset of that group started to get bigger and bigger and chunkier and started to switch from fish to marine mammals. Specifically seals, and that group eventually became Carcharodon, which is the white shark group. So modern white sharks are actually like a highly evolved, fatter, chunkier, bigger mako shark, which is, I think that's extremely cool. You could definitely see, why these two sharks are closely related, just based on their their appearance or physical features. But it's amazing to see that white sharks just get so much bigger, they're girthier, and they do have a different kind of prey type. Which leads me to another fun fact. Sorry, there's a lot to unpack with this species. White shark teeth, yes, Howard, their teeth became serrated, yes. So white shark teeth are unique in the shark world. So, and I mentioned this a couple streams ago, because we were talking about white sharks, bull sharks, oceanic white tips, and tiger sharks. The four most dangerous sharks, the four sharks that are famously known to, handle marine mammals and prey on them, they are the minority in the shark world. These are very, very, very rare tooth types in the shark world. Like, most sharks are adapted to eat fish or crustaceans. Like, most sharks are really small and actually live in the deep ocean. Like the white shark is the only, it's the largest predatory shark, and there's no one else really in its size class as far as, like, a predatory shark. Like, I guess maybe big tiger sharks, maybe, but it's really kind of like unto its own, or something unto its own. It's its own thing, as far as like going after seals and being as large as it is. And it's just like, it's kind of cool to scale it back where it's like, it's the most famous shark in human culture, and it's like the most famous shark as far as like media and everything. But as far as like actual sharks go, it's a rare kind. Most sharks are not. They don't look like this. They don't act like this. They don't do what this shark is doing. So it's kind of cool from like the shark world and the shark perspective that white sharks and Carcharodon, carcharias. This is just a unique animal, and like a very strange kind of shark. I'm trying to think of a good analogy. Like I don't know. Like I'll think of one later, I guess. Yeah, it's like. I can't think of an equivalent because when I go through like animals like really rapidly, it's kind of hard to pick something where it's like it's analogous to this. So I guess I'll just move on. Howard mentioned there have been recent sightings there have been recent sightings of England. Interesting. Okay, interesting. That must be really recent then, because the official IUCN map they didn't have the United Kingdom listed, so that's actually really cool. Some of the most magnificent fossil great white teeth came from Peru. They are violet, blue, or orange due to mineralization. Really cool. That brings me to, we'll bounce around tonight because there's a lot to review, but that does bring me to one of our favorites. And, episode 100, I think we'll just shout out some of like the sites and some of the resources that are available to people. There's a lot of really cool shark material out there, but it's kind of hard to find and it's hard to search for. So one of these sites is fossilguy.com. Anything you want to know about shark fossils, it's really nice that there's a website that is like one and done, that it has all the information right there. So here you go. I'm just going to put the link in the chat. Shout out to fossilguy.com because I myself, when I go shark tooth hunting, I really rely on this website a lot. So, but as far as like shark evolution goes, it's really cool to see that historically there have been other kinds of white sharks. So you have the white shark, also known as the great white. So this is Carcharodon carcharias. This is the modern form. But look at all these other ones, that existed in the past. You have Hubble's white, giant white, narrow white, hooked white, and Escher's white. Each with a slightly different tooth type. If you arrange them, probably over the fossil record, you probably see a change in the narrow Mako-like teeth start getting wider, more capable of handling seals. So as far as fossils that I have in my collection, I've shown them before in the streams, but I do have Carcharodon carcharodontilis and Carcharodon hostalis. These both can be found in the Chesapeake Bay region. I'm not sure what the others. And Carcharodon carcharias can be found in the Bay region. I think I do have a carcharias tooth as well. The hostalis and polytilis teeth are quite bigger, but a lot of these can be found. Oh, here you go. Yeah. This website actually has a really good breakdown of where you can find white shark teeth. So there's just so much white shark material to cover. I'll just go through this really briefly, but the narrow white Carcharodon hostalis is a global species. And I think sometimes this has been referred to as Isurus hostalis, so like a mako shark lineage, and then you realize it's probably actually more closely related to Carcharodon, so the modern great whites. This is really cool. I think that's a whale vertebrae. Oh no, I'm sorry, this is a shark vertebrae. This is a white shark, ancient white shark with vertebrae. That's unbelievable. So it's really hard to get fossils like this, and actually you can even see the lower jaw imprint, like the Meckel's cartilage, is awesome. It's really hard to get fossils like this because sharks' skeletons are made of cartilage and not bone, so they're really hard to fossilize. But that's actually really cool. The teeth are harder parts, but like the actual skeleton, like the vertebrae, really hard to get a fossil like that. So. I'm gonna keep looking. Although this is a really cool tooth type, the hooked white, where it just has this it's like a shark fin tooth, like a straight vertical edge, and then like a curve on the interior edge. It's just really cool looking. Let's see, beautiful Escher's white tooth. Look at that indigo color, really pretty. More shark vertebrae. I think this website had, here's Plicatellus, the giant white. I think this website had an evolutionary tree, which kind of reminds me of another fun fact about white shark. They're not as closely related to megalodons as people think. Like the megatooth sharks, oh, there you go. Haha. So, I wonder if we could find, I know this website has a bigger shark evolution chart, but megatooth sharks, so like the megalodon and otodus and inguistidens, they broke off from the mako sharks a very long time ago, and they became their own thing, like these huge beefy whale hunters, that went extinct. But the mako sharks, like I was kind of saying earlier, that white sharks are derived from mako sharks. They're a different branch, and they eventually evolved into the great white that we see today. So this is actually really cool to see how long ago the branch of white sharks evolved. For the Eocene, you have this ancestral species that is not Carcharodon. It's a transition group between Isurus and Carcharodon. Carcharodon flandricus, Hastalis. You have Platus splitting off from Hastalis and then going extinct by the Pliocene. Subceratus also going extinct. Habeli, which eventually became the modern white shark, and Plicatellus, which went extinct by the end of the Pliocene. So it's really cool to see like how that there were different kinds of white sharks throughout evolutionary history, and that we have the surviving champ, the great white of today. So let's get some more footage just to kind of take some another look at this incredible animal. Let's see. Sea plant is common in Kern County, California. Where is that skeleton from? Yes, let's check that really quick. That's a good question. We've got this jaw set of C. habeli, but I think you're referring to... Well, there is some vertebral column here. Really beautiful ancient set. Image of an associated Carcharodon habeli holotype specimen, photo by Victor Perez. User permission on fossilguy.com, so it doesn't say where it's from. And then there was one more skeleton. This one, adult specimen, that is on display at a museum for natural animal in Germany. It's the most complete Carcharodon hescherii specimen known. But it doesn't say where it's from, unfortunately. So I left the link of fossilguy.com in the chat. So it probably, if you click into it, it probably will show where this is from. So unfortunately, it doesn't say where this specimen originated. But it's unbelievable, though. Like, it's incredible how well preserved that is, and you can see like the rows of teeth of this ancient ancestor of a white shark. So it's super cool. As you guys probably know. White shark diving locations, famously South Africa is a big one. Australia is a big one. California, I think Southern California is a big one. It's a big white shark area. I'm not as familiar with the dive operators out there. Howard made an interesting comment about white sharks being seen in England, which reminds me of a kind of a... I shouldn't say it's new. I think it's been happening for the past decade at least, but In New England, the region of the northeastern United States that includes, like Massachusetts, actually, especially Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, Maine, there's a rise of white sharks. And this has been happening because in the New England area, there's been a concerted effort to restore the seal populations. And it's actually kind of cool. I'm seeing a little bit of the effect of that down here in the Chesapeake Bay region because we're actually seeing a rise of harbor seals in the winter. So the harbor seals, they migrate from New England in the summer. Hey, Minjas, welcome back. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Welcome back. I'm glad you're here. We're just talking about New England. So, harbor seals there's been a concerted effort to bring them back because they were driven to, not extinction, but their numbers were greatly reduced. Due to I think they did seal trapping or fur trapping, I think fishing operations. I forget what was hurting the harbor seals in that area, but there was a concerted effort to bring them back, and I'm seeing some of the effects of that down in the Chesapeake Bay region because in the winter we're getting a uptick of harbor seals, which is really cool. They're cute, they're adorable. I love harbor seals. I've seen a few in the wild. I've seen some in New Hampshire myself, and then I've swam with a couple in Washington State, which is, they're really cute. They're also, don't go near them because, they bite, but they're cute. But anyway, with the seals coming back, it's brought their predator back, which is the white shark. And this has been a very kind of famous debate that's been ongoing where communities in Massachusetts are starting to get really worried about white sharks, appearing in the area, and the risk of shark attack potentially increasing. What's interesting is I don't believe there's been a lot of incidents, or I don't think there's actually been really any. There was one attack in Maine a couple years ago. As far as Massachusetts go, I'm not really sure if there's been a recent shark attack incident, but I will say that there's definitely been a huge uptick in white shark presence to the point where you can actually download maps. So Shark Tracker is an app that allows you to track white sharks that have been seen in Massachusetts. They actually have active stations where they have tagged sharks and they will ping off of buoys in Massachusetts. This is not the same as OSearch, and we'll get to OSearch in a little bit, but it is something similar. And it's kind of amazing to see how many white sharks have been detected in the Massachusetts area, very close to shore, especially around Cape Cod. It's also kind of wild because this is where, the novel Jaws is based in about a series of attacks in New Jersey, but the movie is filmed in Martha's Vineyard in Massachusetts. So it's kind of eerie how sharks are coming back into that area. And it's really weird. It's life mirroring art, which is kind of strange. And to be clear, I know this is a common narrative that sharks are misunderstood, and most are, and most are completely harmless. But this is a species that is a dangerous species, and it should be treated with the same respect and deference as a tiger or a lion, where it's a beautiful animal, amazing and worthy of love and conservation attention, and worthy of our protection. It's incredible, and I mean all of nature is worthy of our protection, but it's an amazing animal, but it also has to be treated with a lot of respect because it is a dangerous predator, capable of dismembering seals, so which are human sized. So just just being real, it's not a puppy. It's a dangerous species for humans. So statistically, white sharks have been implicated in the most shark attacks of any shark species. A lot of that could be misidentifications because the shark is so charismatic, and again, it's the T-Rex of the sea. People can easily point to it as being the culprit, quote unquote, and people who don't know their sharks and people who don't really know the difference between species, they can probably easily say, oh, it's a white shark, when it really isn't. There's been a lot of misidentifications, even people just fishing, they'll catch any kind of shark and they'll be like, oh my god, it was a great white. And it's no, it's not. It's something else. So the shark is frequently misidentified. It's because it's charismatic. It's the same thing as saying oh my gosh, there's a T-Rex. A T-Rex is chasing me, and it's it was a Tarbosaurus, or I don't know why I'm on a Jurassic Park kick, but anyway, just just this shark gets misidentified quite often. So the point being is that is it really statistically the most dangerous species, or is it one of a collection of dangerous species that, it's not necessarily more or less than a tiger shark or oceanic whitetip, or a bull shark, and I ascribe to that thought personally. I kind of feel like white sharks, tigers, bulls, and oceanic whitetips, they're kind of in the same tier. They're in the same tier of like, these animals deserve a lot of respect and a lot of space. Oh, thank you, Minjas, because Jurassic Park is sick and cool and awesome. So, oh, hey, Howard, a seal followed me along the west coast of Scotland one evening. That's so cool. I actually really love, like, seals are fun because it's like you can interact with them a little bit, like, because the one I met in Washington, I was kind of calling to it like a dog, like, I was like, come here, kind of like getting it riled up a little bit, and he was looking, and just they're fun. I like seals. Again, seals bite. Don't get too close. They bite, and they could be a little aggressive. But let's see. Other shark facts, other white shark facts. Oh, actually, I guess I'll mention OSearch, because there is a paper that we'll review tonight that I am very interested in. So, are you guys aware of OSearch? And please leave a comment if you know who they are, because they have been a very interesting nexus point of discussion, both positive and critical. And that's one thing that I think is really interesting in relation to white sharks. So we talked about like white sharks, like Roy. Yes, exactly. Roy said great whites are popular with the paparazzi. Yes, exactly. So they're huge. They're charismatic. They are badass. Like they are really, really amazing animals, right? And with that, they carry a lot of like value and a lot of clout. Okay, Roy knows of OSearch. Yep. So they carry a lot of value and a lot of clout. Some of that value is in ecotourism. There's a lot of like famous white shark dive sites. And if we have time, I think we'll have time, we'll get to research pertaining to those dive sites. And whether or not, that activity is disturbing the white sharks or changing their habits, like people kind of habituating them to getting comfortable with boats and swimming up to boats because they know that the boats are, it's like where the food is. Like if they're baited, are we altering their behavior? So it's an interesting field of research. But what's interesting is that OSearch simultaneously, it is kind of this. There's some debate between a faction of shark scientists and OSearch themselves, and also some of the general public of is OSearch effectively doing good work and doing good shark research, or are they hurting the sharks? So if anyone's not familiar with OSearch, it's a group of people who, like scientists and researchers, who have this specially rigged boat that goes after white sharks, hauls them up to the boat, tags them with a drill tag, like this really heavy duty apparatus on the first dorsal fin that won't be dislodged and can't be dislodged. It's there for life, unless they remove it somehow. But it's kind of an invasive tag, because there's different kinds of shark tags. There's shark tags that are inserted directly into the body, like in the trunk. The shark tags that are inserted in the skin that are dart tags, so they kind of look like copepods. And then there's this tag, which is a little bit more heavy, or a lot more heavy duty. So OSearch has been tagging these sharks and been doing a lot of work with them, and they have, yes, thank you. So Howard essentially, that's a really good summary of what I was about to say. The debate is OSearch tagging too many of them, and do they need to tag them, and are the tags and the methods of capture, are they harmful to the animal? So like all sharks, and really all marine animals, water is a dense medium, and like humans, like when they're swimming in the water, they float, they don't automatically sink because we're adapted to a land environment, like, so we're not as dense. But sea creatures, and sharks especially, are extremely dense. So if you lift them out of the water, their weight crushes down on them. So same with whales, same with I mean, like any big fish. Like if you lift them out of the water for an extended period of time, you know, organs start to collapse, blood vessels start to collapse. Like it's something. It's stressful for the animal. And so the whole O-search method of the shark swimming onto this platform that they have, and they lift the shark out of the water, and it's not surrounded by water anymore. It's not floating anymore. It's for big individuals, the shark is being crushed by its own weight, and that's a cause of concern for some people who critique O-search and criticize that tagging practice or that capture practice. And then the actual tag itself, it doesn't seem to be growing well with the shark as the shark grows. There seems to be fin damage, skin damage, and it's a subject of controversy because Howard summed it up really well. They are overstudied and subjected to a lot of bad science. I think it's a fair question to say, like, how many tags are needed? Like, are we really doing productive research in this way, or have we done enough, and should we stop essentially maybe harassing the shark? So there's other YouTube channels that do a lot of work kind of exploring O-search's impact. I'll shout out one that I think is pretty interesting. Let me see if I can find it. I think it's called White Shark. Oh, here we go. It's White Shark Video. So this is a pretty interesting channel, and definitely recommend it because I think I kind of get the impression that people here, like, they really do care about these animals, and they care in a sense they want to do what's.
And I want to take a moment to examine some.
Sorry about that. They care to the point where they want to examine, or they sorry, not examine. They care to the point where they want to know, they want to do what's best for the animal. The animal comes first. It's not really like the glam. It's not really like the money, because O-search is frequently funded, or not funded, but featured like on National Geographic and Discovery Channel, and of course it is because it's very attractive. It's very fun to watch. It's very like. It has a lot of appeal, but like, I think it's a very valid question. Is it really, beneficial to the animal, or is it something that's invasive? So, and with all that, I think I'll jump into the paper that explores that, because I would like to learn more about that. Rather than kind of spouting my opinion, I would like to look at some research. So here we go. And let me catch up on the comments really quick. Sorry. So, sorry that this. I see one. Okay, here we go. Roy, I see one in every Shark Week documentary. They're extremely popular to the point where they kind of take the spotlight from other sharks. Yep, I definitely agree. Love that comment. How are they overstudied and subject to a lot of bad science? Midges, it'd be nice to be able to do it in a safer, less invasive way. But imagine our arguments all line up, but it's for science, though of course there are many arguments against that too. Yeah, and that's pretty much, that's a good point, and that's pretty much like the center of the debate, because oh, yes, a bit off topic, but the weight crushing of thing is what makes those land walking epaulet sharks so neat. Oh, yeah, beyond being able to walk on land thing. That's a really good point. Sorry, that's a really, really good, that's a great connection, actually. I'm going to star that. That's a really great point, because, like, even though the epaulet sharks are small, they're still denser than other land animals of the same size. Like if you compare it to, like, a snake is not going to be as dense as an epaulet shark. So the fact that the epaulet shark does not only walks in the water, but can actually walk out of water and clamber over tide pools and be okay. It's a really cool, evolutionary feature of that species. So that's a really great point. Yes, Howard, I love seeing them in wild environments like the Farallones. Yes, like just kind of free of like any kind of invasive practices. Just it's so cool. So here's the paper I wanted to review, and we'll go back to general white shark science and more clips. There's so much, by the way, on this species, and actually the idea of the white shark being overstudied, it's really interesting because when preparing for tonight, there is so much information on this shark. There's so much research done on this shark, and I was actually surprised how much research has been done on it. It's comparable to dogfish, like the pike dogfish or spiny dogfish. Spiny dogfish is famously the most well-studied shark in the world, but like white sharks are not that far behind. There's a lot of information on the species, and as we've seen throughout the stream, getting back to episode 100, there's a lot of sharks that need our help and need our attention. There's a lot of sharks that are extremely rare and that we don't know. Like, before we got to the white shark tonight, we had 99 other species of varying popularity and varying research. Like, there's a lot of species that only have like a dozen papers or so that maybe briefly mention them because they're just so new. And a lot of species that are critically endangered that we don't really know what they're like what is driving them, or like what their habitat use is. So it is interesting. It's a valid question to ask. Are white sharks oversaturated? Like, is the research and the attention on white sharks like oversaturated? It's definitely deserved, because they're amazing and beautiful animals, and I don't think they will ever cease to capture our fascination and imagination, and nor should they. They are amazing, but as far as devoting time and resources, should we kind of dilute some of the white shark stuff to other lesser known species? This is like the poster child of charismatic megafauna for the ocean. Like, white sharks, whales, and sea turtles. These are like the three big groups that, or I guess sharks in general, but there's so many kinds of sharks that I'll give sharks a bit of a hall pass, because it's like white sharks, sea turtles, and whales. Like, those are like the big charismatic draws for people wanting to become marine biologists. And it's like, if you have a passion and if you want to do research, that's great. But it's an interesting question in terms of like, is the amount of information on white sharks oversaturated? So, man, there's so many topics we could talk about with this species. So, we'll dive in. I do want to dive into the study. So, an examination of the effects of dorsal fin-mounted spot is a kind of tag on Carcharodon carcharias, the great white shark. This is by Grace L. Hicks and Philip S. Lobel. Abstract: this opinion piece presents empirical evidence to examine possible negative consequences of the use of penetrative tagging as used on the great white shark. Tagging programs currently using this method attach spot, spatial positioning only tags, using corrodable bolts inserted through the dorsal fin while the shark is taken out of water. Such methods can cause harm to the tagged individual. Possible adverse effects includes impact on growth, tag biofouling, wounds, heightened stress, and hemorrhaging. This method may adversely impact dorsal fin structure and the shark's hydrodynamics. As a result, data collected may not be reflective of natural behavior. Now, that's a really good point. I should probably mention that I know I've been mentioning OSearch by name and kind of targeting them, because they're the most charismatic and popular one. But I should have a disclaimer. They're not the only group using spot tags. They're probably not the only one using this kind of tag. To my knowledge, they're one of the few groups that do the whole hauling out procedure, for as long as they do with the shark. But I don't think they're the only one. So just as a little bit of a disclaimer. Bolted spot are semi-permanently affixed to the shark, but can have a battery life of approximately 3.5 years. Most of these tags, 69%, cease transmitting in less than 2 years. Alternative tagging technologies exist as more humane options. This is really important to me personally, because it's not only that alternative tags can be more humane, but they can also be more accurate. I have seen and I have advised OSearch tags that are not correct, where there was one found at the head of the Chesapeake Bay, and it was like, that's not possible, because that is freshwater. The head of the Chesapeake Bay near the Susquehanna River is freshwater. It's tidal freshwater, so the shark cannot go that far. This species cannot go that far, into freshwater. That's just not possible. So, and they removed it. This was, I think, back in 2016, 2015. There was another tag that was really problematic that was in Pamlico Sound, but kind of getting close. Actually, no, was it? It was either Pamlico Sound or Albemarle Sound. I think it might have been Albemarle Sound, because it was kind of ludicrous. Albemarle Sound it's not freshwater, but it's like brackish water, and it's not accurate. And it's just like, it's kind of frustrating because news outlets who don't know any better pick that information up and report on it because it's a juicy story, but it's not accurate and it freaks people out. Like people who live in those communities, are like, oh my gosh, there's sharks in the water, blah blah blah, and it's like, no, they actually, the truth is they're not there. Like biologically, they can't handle low salinity. Yeah. Yeah. So there's a lot. I have to. I love this. How we probably could fill 10 hours. We really could, probably. So. Yes, and great point, Howard. Like Megalodon in the fossil world, everyone wants to study it. Yeah, yeah. So, in a positive sense, it's great to have like a charismatic poster child species. It's great. That drives interest and fascination. But in a negative sense, it could take too much attention away from like areas that actually need more research and kind of like could benefit from more attention and more science. So like little known shark groups that are not maybe as large or as charismatic as Megalodon, like it probably would be very beneficial to look for them and to study them, in the fossil record to add to the general sense of evolution. So which is, and Howard, yeah, exactly. I'm going to start this, which is precisely why I choose the more obscure weasel sharks for my study focus. That's awesome. That's awesome because I really love, like, even in our community alone, like, you've brought a lot of attention to Hemipristis, and it's really cool. So, like, really appreciate the focus on that group specifically. So, but let's take a look at, for this, since there's so much material on white sharks, I'll just go through this really briefly. But this had some photographs, so you can kind of see, so figure A, spot on the dorsal fin of a great white shark after 172 days. The tag had been coated with anti-fouling paint. However, algae and other attached organisms can be seen on a satellite antenna and the tag body. So, does this affect transmission? I'm not 100% sure. I do know, again, there's been weird tags that have come out. This is more important, though. Look at this. And I'm really glad, like, just in the name of conservation and the name of actually, like, we're here to celebrate sharks as they are and celebrate sharks in themselves and what's best for the animal. And I'm glad to spend some time kind of talking about potential harm to the species. Even if it's done in the name of science, it's kind of like, this is damage. This is not what the fin should look like. So, image of great white shark dorsal fins equipped with spot for over 24 months. Images A and B show fouling on the tag and a left-leaning fin. Like we talked about before with other shark species, the fins are the size and shape that they are for that precise animal's habits and adaptation. Like the fin is not larger or shorter than what the animal needs because it's achieving its optimum hydrodynamics. Like the sum of all the other fins, like the pectoral fin, pelvic fin, the caudal fin, the second dorsal, the first dorsal, like these are the size and shape that they are for optimal hunting, for optimal hydrodynamics for that particular shark. So if you alter the fin and if you damage it, it's going to have an impact on the animal's life, because that's like, there's a reason why the fin doesn't look like this naturally. It's not evolved to look like this. It's part of the shark's like evolutionary design. It's part of like their optimum way of being. So like this kind of damage is important and it does affect them. Specifically, if you look, there's a hole in the dorsal fin for figure C and D. How does that affect drag? How does that affect the shark swimming as it goes after prey? So these are really valid questions, and this is why like I feel comfortable kind of putting groups like OSearch on blast a little bit, because it's like, this is a worthy critique. It's a worthy point of focus for those who do target them, or those who like, or not target, but levy criticism at them. It's a worthy concern, because this is, if you're looking at this and saying, is this for the best for the animal? The answer is maybe not really. So, images C and D show fin degradation around a puncture wound where the tag was previously affixed. The C arrow points to the open wound caused by the attached tag. There you go. So, let's see. I think there's some more. Here is that procedure. Yep, and this is it. Spot tagging a great white shark on a tagging deck. The jaw area, snout, and caudal peduncle are reddened and indicate hemorrhaging the white arrows. That's a really good point. So now, again, this is not just OSearch. This is people who do work up sharks whether you're a fisherman or a kind of researcher who's taking the full animal out of the water, you have to be very mindful of time because, again, the weight of this massive animal, it's crushing itself, as it's hauled out into air. So, and like the reason that it's turning pink is because of like blood capillaries bursting. So it's not that the shark is like drying out or anything. This is not normal. This is not natural. This is like bruising. So it's hard to look at, but again, I think in the spirit of just shark conservation and again just what's best for the sharks, and I think the spirit of this channel where we're looking at each shark, for what it is, and looking at each species and appreciating them for who they are and trying to focus on what they need and what their conservation concerns are. It's hard to look at, but I think it's necessary because white sharks, they're the focus of all these like glamorous nature specials and things, but this is also a part of their reality, unfortunately. So, again, not just OSearch, although this image is taken from the OSearch website. This is a lot of different groups, fishermen or researchers who are not mindful of time. Actually, a lot of shark researchers do a really good practice where they will have the animal tied up to the side of the boat. Like for large sharks, they'll have them tied up to the side of the boat and then work them up while the sharks are partially submerged, which is really great because that's actually, it is stressing the animal out a bit, but at least the animal is not being crushed by its own weight. It's actually still in the water. It's still, in an area where it can breathe. Other sharks are placed in a temporary tank. And other sharks, like some of the sharks I worked up, the smaller species, we work them up really briefly, monitor for signs of stress, and then release them the minute we were like, okay, it's losing its color. This is not good. So yeah, just sorry, I could spend hours on this, but we'll kind of keep looking. And actually, we probably should. It's already 9:46. We probably should jump over to general white shark information. Oops. So let me catch up on the comments. So big perforation. Minjas, do you think there'd be a better place to put it considering how important it is, or at least do you think they can make it in a way that's less obstructive? So that's a great question, and yeah, Howard, love this comment. Once again, we are affecting behavior rather than observing it. I'm going to answer that. I'm just catching up on comments. Yeah, OSearch seems to mostly get into this research for the clout. Their achievements feel very performative. Yeah, beautifully said. Actually, I'm going to start that. I really love the comment, Roy. Beautifully said. Rather see sharks followed by drones. Yes, that's actually really cool. Like imagine weighing the same amount as a minivan and all the weight gets crushed on you. Yeah, exactly. So to answer your question, Minjas, is there a way to make it less obstructive or a better place to put it? So, with technology, and I'm not as familiar with some of the newer tagging technologies, but with technology continually improving and getting better at getting smaller and being more compact, I wonder if there's a way to achieve some of the same kind of computing results, but with a smaller tag on the dorsal fin, a tag that mimics like a parasite or a copepod. And again, parasites and copepods, they also add drag to the shark, but if there's such a tag, in the future, because it's kind of amazing how much we've compressed technology, as far as if you think about analogs like phones, like cell phones used to be these giant blocks, like these bricks basically, and then now they're just extremely small, very convenient. For a tag that is monitoring, even GPS positioning. I wonder if there is something that can be designed that is small enough to still be on the fin, but is just not as invasive, as the current spot tags. So maybe that could be a future technology. I wonder if there's a tag that there are acoustic receiver tags, and I forget the name of them, but there are tags that are surgically inserted into sharks. But then again, that kind of brings up the question of how do you do a surgery on a white shark without causing the same kind of stress and the same kind of crushing, consequences as the current method of application. So to answer your question, I wonder if there's a tagging technology that can achieve similar results, but in a smaller package that is kind of more streamlined with the fin, and certainly not bolted through the fin, but something that kind of acts more like a copepod in some way. A lot of the dart tags, and dart tags, they don't compute information. At least the ones I've worked on, they don't compute information, but they do. Their purpose, they're non-invasive. Well, they're invasive, but they're not. They don't really harm the animal because they're inserted in the back of the, like they're inserted into the back of the shark right behind the first dorsal fin, and they're like a thin yellow filament or like a thin yellow rod with text data on it. And if a fisherman or somebody runs into this animal again in the future, they can use that text data to identify the animal and report it. And from that information, you can start tracking species. It's kind of one of the oldest tagging methods, and it's been used for monitoring species or tracking species. VIMS has famously used them like in the 70s and 80s and 90s and beyond for sandbar sharks and tracking their movements. So as far as the satellite tag technology, I'm not 100% sure if there would be one that would be like small enough to transmit some of the more detailed information, like how deep is the shark going, what time of day is it in a certain location, where is it at a certain time of day. So, but that's my thoughts on it. But catch up on more comments. I was trying to say, if they really want to monitor a shark's natural movement, I assume they make it less invasive and put it elsewhere. But how where to send them it way better. Oh, I got you. Cobalt like trackers are super smart. Oh, thank you. Yeah. Like anything that like mimics nature like that, I think would be really cool. So, but let's check out. Let's see. Let's check out IUCN first. So just to make sure we have a conservation understanding of the white shark. So here we go. White shark Carcharodon carcharias is a vulnerable species, moderately depleted, decreasing population. And this is the range. So again, it's a cosmopolitan species, so you can see it's pretty much everywhere. The orange areas are extant, resident, and then the purple areas are possibly extant. So the known range is the orange, and the purple, or the possible range is purple. So we got them all around Africa. We have them in the Mediterranean. We have them in North America on both coasts. It's really cool that Howard mentioned earlier recent sightings in England, because historically, England is not part of the historic range. But look at this, northern France is, and it's the same ecoregion, like between southern England and northern France. It's oceanically the same, so it's not surprising that a white shark may have expanded its range northward. So pretty interesting. We have them in the Indian Ocean, Eastern Asia, Australia, and then South America. So it's pretty much a cosmopolitan species. I am curious, how is it doing conservation-wise in general? So. And this is actually, because the shark is so well known, you can see this is a little bit of a different assessment than other IUCN assessments. So you've got both the like the endangered, like the threat list assessment, like its threat level, like how endangered or not endangered a species is, and then this green status assessment. This is kind of new, and I'm not as familiar with what this is, so I'm excited to look at this in detail. So here we go. So first we'll start with the classic one that we know. Here we go. The white shark is a large coastal and pelagic shark, wide-ranging throughout most temperate and tropical oceans to depths of 1,200 meters. The species is very long-lived, up to 73 years. That is so cool. So it's basically the same lifespan as a human in most parts of the world. That's actually incredible to think about. Like, you know, oh, that reminds me. I'm sorry. That reminds me. A little treat for episode 100. So this is a picture of me as a young person. With a white shark that was captured for research from VIMS. This is the Virginia Institute of Marine Science. It's their one, as far as I know, it's the one white shark that they have in their collection. And to kind of give a sense of scale, this is a juvenile. So this is a juvenile great white shark, which is already as large as I am. And this is a juvenile Dr. Jaws with no beard and less weight. So, but this was oh man, this was 2011, I think, when this was taken. So pretty long time ago. But it's one of the most impressive specimens that they have in the collection. And kind of fun trivia, the original Dr. Jaws logo that I had, it's actually a photograph of this particular white shark, highly modified. So, but this is a shark preserved for research at VIMS. So this was a shark caught in the VIMS research surveys, and back in, this probably was in the 70s or 80s, because white sharks are protected in the United States, so you can't you can't fish for these. So I'm assuming for VIMS, this specimen in particular was captured back in the 70s or 80s. But just kind of fun trivia. Happy episode 100. Me of a great white. So, but let's get back to Mr. Johnson Brigade Doctor. Thank you guys. Oh my gosh. Yep. I showed my fiance this, and she was like, "That's really cool. You're also very small." And I was like, "Thank you." So, so here we go. The white shark is a large coastal pelagic shark. Oh, we were leaving off at the human lifespan. So not human lifespan, but it's kind of cool that you can equate a life shark's life to a human life. Because I feel like a lot of animals, they're not really analogous. A lot of animals are more short-lived than humans, or more quickly. Their life cycles are quicker than humans, and it's kind of cool to see an animal that could be that old. That's really amazing. Female. Oh wow. Okay, females do not reach maturity until 33 years, resulting in a long generation length of 53 years. That is long. That's actually extremely concerning. That is huge. Females don't reach maturity until 33 years. So it's kind of incredible to me that this shark is only vulnerable and it's not endangered, because that is an incredibly long reproductive cycle. That's like, can you imagine, I know a lot of people have kids in their 30s, but there's also a lot of people who have kids in their 20s. Can you imagine telling people, who want kids in their 20s, it's like, oh, you gotta wait until you're 33. You know what I mean? That's a really long reproductive cycle. For sharks, it's enormous. That's huge. Sharks that reproduce more quickly than that are endangered. So I'm curious, why this shark is actually not doing as poorly, really. So it is caught globally, mostly as bycatch in inshore fisheries by a range of gears. Is rarely caught in offshore pelagic fisheries and is targeted in beach protection programs in Australia and South Africa. However, in some instances, these programs release live sharks. Over 3 generation lengths, 159 years, the white shark is estimated to be increasing in abundance in the Northeast Pacific and Indian Ocean, and declining in abundance from historic levels in the Northwest Atlantic and South Pacific. In most regions, declines occurred during the 1980s, followed by a slow recovery since the 1990s, when protection was implemented. So, interesting thing about that. So I talked about Jaws, the movie Jaws, earlier. Unfortunately, Jaws is a 2-part movie. The first part, I'm sure most people have seen it. And I have to confess, it's a very well made movie. It's a very good movie. It's a Steven Spielberg movie. It's very good. But it's a 2-part movie. The first part is a horror film, and then the second part is an adventure film. So the first part is the horror of a shark attack. And the second part is people going after the shark. And that kind of spirit, that kind of excitement, inspired a lot of trophy hunting in the 70s. There was a documented uptick of trophy hunting for white sharks after the movie Jaws was released. So much so that Peter Benchley, the author of the book Jaws, regretted writing it and has actually made a huge effort for the rest of his life to advocate for shark conservation, and to kind of work towards better understanding these animals, and kind of dismissing some of them, or what's the word, deconstructing some of the misinformation, the mythos behind them. I think he regretted the consequence of Jaws. It's great that it's a great novel, and it's a well, actually I've not read the novel. I'm assuming it's really good. It's a great movie. I it's a really well made movie, but unfortunately, part of it being so well made and being so charismatic and so impactful, the first blockbuster, or one of the very first blockbusters, it inspired a lot of trophy hunting, and I think a lot of people wanted to replicate that kind of energy from the movie, and unfortunately, it directly impacted white sharks. So when they say the Northwest Atlantic experienced population decline in the 80s. It makes sense. Jaws came out in 1975, so in the 70s and 80s thereafter, there was a lot of shark trophy hunting in the United States, unfortunately. United States being the Northwest Atlantic region. It's great that this shark is protected. It is one of the most famous sharks conservation-wise, where it's kind of the centerpiece of a lot of protections. I would say white sharks, whale sharks, basking sharks, and I think the hammerheads are starting to join that club a little bit. These are the sharks that are getting the most conservation attention. So, in most regions, declines occurred during the 1980s, followed by a slow recovery since the 1990s, and protection was implemented. Globally, based on long-term abundance data and protection since the 1990s that have since reduced catches and allowed some recovery, the white shark population is estimated to have reduced by 30 to 49% over the last 3 generations, and is therefore vulnerable. So this is extremely encouraging. I have to say it. Like I feel like there's been a lot of sharks in the stream that have elicited a feeling of, wow, these sharks are really cool. They're not very popular. There's not really movement behind them. But reading this, it's really cool to see that, there is a movement behind white shark conservation. And it's kind of, this is the closest shark to the movement behind whales. Like, whale conservation became really popular with the release of the movie Free Willy. And I'd say, like, sometime before that, too, probably. But Free Willy, really, like, in 1993, I think that 1992 or 1993, really, further galvanized whale conservation. It made it popular, made it cool, and, whales are extremely protected now. Like they're kind of like vessels have to slow down in the presence of whales, which is really great. It's really cool to see that there is a shark that nears that kind of level of reverence, and it's really cool to see that kind of reverence and that conservation action has actually halted. It could, like biologically, this kind of should be an endangered species, but it's really cool to see that conservation effort seems to have had a very positive impact at kind of halting some of the declines on white sharks. So it's really, really cool to see that. Man, I'm going to catch up on the comments. Roy. After Jaws, Peter Benchley based. Appreciate that. Let's see. Audio a bit fuzzy. Oh, sorry. There was so many fear-based articles and magazines during that time. Oh, thank you. Audio good. Thank you. So... Yes, Mingus. No wonder they're vulnerable, but like, how are they only vulnerable? Yes, that's how I feel too. It's really incredible to think about. Like, it could have been a lot worse. So let's check out the green assessment. This is something that we don't really see that much. So here we go. The species recovery score of 59%, moderately depleted, is due to the white shark being threatened in 4 spatial units, viable in 3, and functional in just 2. The 4 conservation impact metrics, however, are indeterminate. More research is required to evaluate the past, potential future impacts of conservation for this species. Interesting. I won't really go into more detail. Conservation legacy is indeterminate. Conservation dependence is indeterminate. Conservation gain is indeterminate. Recovery potential is indeterminate. Assessed in 2021. So in the future, this is going to be interesting to check back in here. To see how the species is doing. So, okay. Oh, this is cool. Look at this. Indigenous and expected additional range. These are some fancy features that IUCN Amaryllis has for this shark in particular. Because, again, the other sharks that we've seen, they don't really have this, but here we go. Occurrences of white sharks have been documented through anecdotal records in all ocean basins since the Middle Ages. In the year 1500, white sharks likely occurred worldwide, from temperate to tropical to subantarctic waters of all oceans and in enclosed seas. All the areas currently occupied by the species were likely also occupied at the benchmark year. That's really cool. Here's the spatial units. Eastern Australia, New Zealand population, Eastern North Pacific population, Mediterranean population, the Northwest Atlantic population, South American Atlantic population, South American Pacific population, Southern African population, Southwest Australian population, Western North Pacific population. It's really cool that, okay, we know the shark well enough to break it down into these populations. It's incredible, actually. Let's see. Okay, functional. This is actually really interesting. So the Eastern Australia and New Zealand population is functional, and I won't read the whole thing, but I'll kind of read like anything that stands out. Current population estimates are suggested to be stable. This might be. Oh, I see. Oh, I'm sorry. Former population is functional. Current is viable. Okay. Here, I'm gonna share this just to save on time. I'm gonna share this with the chat. We're getting the VIP IUCN Realist experience. Yes, I'm gonna share this one in the chat too. So we got the Fossil Guy link and the IUCN Red List link. This is actually really great if you're new to the IUCN Red List for sharks. This assessment is actually a really good one to probably study more in detail and take a look at and compare with other shark species. Because like there's a lot more information on this than in other sharks, so it's kind of cool to see as we get more research on rarer shark species what we could learn from them and what the aspiration is. So very cool. All right. We will check. I guess we'll check. Let's do fish base. I want to see the. This is like the best of the best for episode 100. All the classics, all the greats, like for quick shark research. Fish base on the white shark. I'm curious to see what this has to offer. It's kind of cool to see like a fish base profile on such a charismatic species. Fish base treats all fish equally, so. Oh, actually, no, it doesn't. This is a lot more information than most fish base articles, but here we go. Carcharodon refers to teeth, as in carchari, serrated on both edges. Carcharias, from the ancient Greek carcharias, which is shark. So its Latin name literally translates to sharp-toothed shark, which is extremely cool. It's a very fitting Latin name for the species. Kind of makes me think of, let's talk about T-Rexes earlier and comparing it to T-Rex. If anyone is a Land Before Time fan, shout out to 90s kids if you are. But Sharptooth was the name for the T-Rex. I don't know. It's like layers. It's just interesting. It's a great name for the species. Just like huge predatory, like the largest predatory shark in the ocean. Like it's just really cool that things line up with that. So. Primarily coastal and offshore inhabitant on continental and insular shelves, but may also occur off oceanic islands far from land. This is kind of interesting, by the way. I think when I was little, or like not little, like pre-college, I had this weird assumption that great whites were like this open ocean thing that was really far away from land, and I don't really know why I thought that, but as I started to learn about sharks and study them and learn more about them, it became really apparent that like, wow, actually great whites come really close to shore. And, they occupy, like fish base is saying, they do occupy, both coastal and pelagic zones. And they can actually occupy really deep water as well. I think IUCN had it at 1,200 meters. So that's about, you're starting to dip into the midnight zone, which is kind of cool. But it's kind of, it's really incredible to think about, like, this shark is a very present coastal shark. It does come in really close to shore, and it makes sense because like it's a marine mammal hunter specifically for seals and sea lions. So where do they live? Right on the coast. So that's kind of incredible to think that some of the largest predators like great white sharks or orca whales, they both make sure that they're close to the shore to get their favorite prey items. So, but unfortunately, this is where a lot of negative interactions with white sharks and people happen. So. And actually, for comparison, white sharks are coastal. Mako sharks, they're close cousin, and they're the like close cousin, and the ancestral line of white sharks, like Isuris. Mako sharks occur offshore. Like they don't really come close to shore often. They really like to be further out in the open ocean. So it's kind of cool to compare that. White sharks are bigger, but they are found more close to the beach, and the Mako sharks are smaller, but they are actually much further offshore, so typically. So, Often close inshore to the surf line and even penetrates shallow bays. Maximum depth of 1280 meters. That's actually really cool. Pelagic, capable of migration across oceanic regions, usually solitary or in pairs, but can be found in feeding aggregations of 10 or more. It does not form schools. That's one thing that's really cool about white sharks is the fact that it's just one, you know. There's a really great piece of footage of a wreck in North Carolina. Oh, this one's actually cool. Let's take a look at this. This is not the wreck, but I do want to take a look at this because it's a great shot of the shark coming very close to a cage. How would you guys do in a shark cage with a great white? Like, I like to think I would do okay, but because the cage is there. But I don't know, with an animal that large and that fearsome, where the mouth is literally, it's bigger than your head. You know, I might be saying something very different. So, beautiful shark. Another fun fact about white sharks, they actually have blue irises. It's very hard to tell. I wonder if we can get a good shot of that. Because the rest of the eyeball is so dark, but they actually have a really pretty blue iris in their eyes in life. You have to get really close to see it. And most people do not want to be that close. But you can kind of see it here. It's not as striking as... You can kind of see it, like, you can see like the eyeball here, like, or the pupil, like there's the pupil, and you can kind of see the iris a little bit. It's not like that striking. It's probably, I think probably via the stream, it's probably not going to show up really well, but kind of fun fact, you know. The other thing too, we were talking about Jaws earlier. Quint has a story about the USS Indianapolis and how he has some story about, the shark rolls his eyes in the back of its head, and he depicts it this like kind of graphic, gross thing. But in reality, white sharks roll their eyes in the back of their head to protect their eyeballs. When white sharks bite down on something, they don't know what the prey item is going to do. So, for example, with a seal, seals are very nimble and fast, and they writhe and wriggle. And, if the shark is biting down onto a seal and the seal's freaking out, the seal might like rear up and bite the shark. And so as an evolutionary adaptation, the white shark will roll its eyes to the back of its head to protect its eyeballs. So what looks like a gruesome, creepy, monstrous thing is actually something that the shark is doing to keep itself safe. It's the same as us blinking. Like, we blink to protect our eyeballs from dust or impact. If something is heading straight towards our face, we blink to protect our eyes. So it's just an instinctive response. So same thing with white sharks. Now, you can see in this clip, these are not white sharks. These are sand tigers, which are a distant cousin. They are in the lamniforms. And this is like a classic North Carolina wreck dive, like really, really beautiful collection of sand tiger sharks. Actually, gorgeous footage of the species, around this wreck. And I'm going to fast forward because what's really cool is talking about white sharks being solitary. So you can see sand tiger sharks. Hold on, it's going to play. There we go. Okay. So you can see sand tiger sharks like to be in these big schools and these big aggregations, and they love areas of structure, and they're very localized. Like, sand tiger sharks, spend a lot of time in kind of concentrated in shallow water areas in one area, and it's kind of cool to see that this is the group. Like, this is, and a group of sharks is called a shiver shark. So this is the group of sharks right here. But it's kind of cool that in this same clip, you have the sand tigers here, but keep an eye on the upper right corner. There it is. You have this group of sand tiger sharks and a photobombing jack? I don't know what that is. Sand tiger sharks, but look at that in the distance. A solitary, lone white shark just materializing out of the ocean. And it's unbelievable. It's so cool. Get out of here, Jack. It's so cool. Get out of here, Jack. It's so cool to like... I don't know if that's a jack, by the way. I'm so excited about the shark that I can't... I don't know exactly what kind of fish this is, but... It's so cool to see, like, it's probably some people's nightmare of like something huge, like people with thalassophobia, something huge coming out of the shadows, and coming out of nowhere. And there's just something so awe-inspiring about a lone, solitary white shark. It does not aggregate in schools. It's by itself. It just is patrolling the sea, all on its lonesome. It's like the Mad Max of sharks, kind of, which is so cool. And it's kind of cool to juxtapose this lone white shark, approaching this dive site, where there's a whole aggregation of sand tiger sharks, and that they're closer related. I mean, not closer related, but like they're in the same order. They're all lambdaform, so they're in the same large group of sharks. And you can see some of the features. For me, lambdaforms, they have like a big conical head. So you can kind of see that shared characteristic between the sand tiger sharks and the white shark. But yeah, here you got the sand tiger sharks all, chilling out as a group on this wreck. Really beautiful, super cool sharks. And then you have this just lone white shark. And it's actually kind of cool to compare the shark's features. Like the white shark has a lunate caudal fin, so the upper and lower lobe are equal in size. The sand tiger sharks actually have a longer upper lobe. So sand tigers, it suggests that sand tigers swim very slowly, and they don't really undertake huge migrations. I mean they migrate, but they don't undertake like cross oceanic journeys. Great whites, they can move really fast, and can have the power to carry them across oceans. It's really, really cool to see this. The dorsal fin of the great white shark, it's sleeker and bigger and sharper. Sand tiger shark dorsal fins are squarer, and those dorsal fins work for the sand tiger shark because the shark likes to be, those sharks like to be around shipwrecks and shallow water areas. They don't really need all that power to go very far. They eat fish primarily, but great white sharks, they have those like sharp points and those sleek features to act like a bullet. Especially as they hunt, especially as they go after their fast-moving prey. So super, super cool stuff. So, let's see. Sorry, I just saw the Sigma Shark comment. Oh my gosh, Roy. So, oh my gosh, so many comments. I don't know if I'll be able to get through all of them, but love that comment. Oh my gosh. Oh, I like how... That's actually really cool, Ninja. Sorry. I like how each sand tiger has their own little group of fish. Jack, oh my god, move. Yeah. Yeah, and I'm sorry if I got that wrong. I think it's a jack or an amberjack, but... yeah. Yeah, but man. Let's see. We were... Where were we? I was talking about the group of sharks. So, here, 10 more. Okay, there we go. Does not form schools. Okay. Feeds on bony fishes, sharks, rays, seals, dolphins, and porpoises. Again, it's really rare for sharks to do this. Like if you look at all 500 plus sharks as a group, sharks are fish eaters. It's very, very few are able to go after seals, dolphins, and porpoises. So even though white sharks are the charismatic sharks, in human culture, they're the anomaly in the shark world. They're like most sharks don't have the adaptations that white sharks do, so it's super cool. Seabirds, carrion squid, octopi, and crabs, and whales. Whales! Oh my goodness. Ovoviparous, embryos feeding on yolk sac, and other ova produced by the mother. So that is a kind of intrauterine cannibalism, which makes sense. Lambdaforms do that. So the famous one is sand tigers. Sand tigers famously do have that. I guess, if I'm reading this correctly, juvenile or developing white sharks eat other eggs, but they don't eat other siblings. They are eating their other siblings, I guess, but it's not the same. It's not to the same degree as sand tiger sharks. So, 7 young born per litter, reported by some experts to attack humans, which they mistake for their normal prey. Most attacks occur in estuaries. Now, this is really interesting. I'll take a moment to talk about this. So I have heard that white sharks can enter estuaries. I do not know their salinity tolerance in other parts of the world, and there are things that affect that, like temperature. So temperature is a factor as far as salinity tolerance for some fish. So as far as white sharks go, don't really know their estuary occurrence in other parts of the world. I do know for a fact, for certain and for true and for sure, they do not occur in the Chesapeake Bay. They do occur in Virginia and in the Virginia Beach area and offshore, but they do not go into the bay. To date, there is no white shark found in the Chesapeake Bay. There's no record of a white shark inside the actual Chesapeake Bay, west of the line between Cape Henry and Cape Charles. Like, there's no white shark sighting. And I say this because, it's my home region, and I get a lot of comments about, oh my gosh, you don't talk about white sharks. Like, they're in the bay, and the reality is, no, they're not. I've checked this 10 times plus. Like there's no white sharks in the bay. So I just want to, this is my little soapbox PSA. White sharks don't enter in the Chesapeake Bay. I would be glad to see the record and the proof that they're there, but they're not there. So, just want to make a statement on that. Caught by big game anglers and line boats for its jaws. Now, this, in most parts of the world, is not legal. White sharks are protected species, and they're one of the first sharks that are CITES protected. So, it's when in doubt, if you accidentally hook a white shark, or if you have a white shark in a net or something like that, don't keep it. Don't do anything. Like let it go. Please let it go. It's not protected. I reported a case to the Virginia Marine Resource Commission where somebody was like kind of bragging about white shark fishing, and it's like, no, you can't be doing that. So and anglers, actually responsible anglers, should know this because there's a lot of clear information, not just in publications, but also like at piers and things about the sharks that you can and cannot land, at least in the United States. And white sharks are just a huge no-no. You cannot fish for the species. So, reported to cause poisoning. That's interesting. I've never knew that before. Flesh is utilized fresh, dried, salt, and smoked for human consumption. For skin and leather, liver oil. So this is basically like a lot of sharks in different parts of the world. Maximum total length is leading to much speculation, and some measurements are found to be doubtful, possibly to 6.4 meters or more in length. Now, this is interesting, and this gets really tricky. 6.4 times 2.3. So maximum size is estimated to be 21 feet. The shark in Jaws, which is fictional, is estimated to be 25 feet, which is larger than is documented. The record of 10.98 feet, which is ludicrous, is incorrect. Maximum total length for male from this reference, sometimes considered the most dangerous shark in the world. Again, I spoke to that. I don't know how fair that is because it's been misidentified. Like, it's very easy for someone who doesn't know their sharks to say, oh, this bull shark that attacked me, it's actually a great white shark because it bit me. And it's like, no. It's very, like, people don't know. Like, I think the general public is getting better now, but historically people haven't really been able to name a shark beyond great white shark. And so there has been speculation about shark attack bias. Are white sharks over-reported? And I think they are, personally. They probably are, because, again, people who, have to go through that horrible experience of a shark attack, if they survive it, it's really hard to identify the species. If they, like, unless you have, like, clear bite marks and stuff. It's just, it's an over-reported species, long story short. So, we talked about embryos feeding on other ova produced by mother, so ovophagy. Let's see. Oh, this is interesting. Male and female may swim in parallel while copulating. There's so much research on white sharks' social behavior, and I'm actually kind of curious if we could find tidbits of that beyond fish base. So let's take a look at... Here we go. I got some jazz music playing on the background. I mentioned white shark mating. Oh my goodness. So, yeah, it's getting really good. Kidding. But... Florida Museum of Natural History. This is a great resource. I know we're all familiar with it, but for new viewers, I'm seeing more people join this stream tonight, which is kind of fun. For more episode 100 Spaghetti Party means we send 100 comments per minute. Love that. Thank you, Minjas. Love that. But for any newer viewers, Florida Museum of Natural History is a great first resource. I'll put this in the chat too. I don't think I've ever done that before. You like jazz? Oh my gosh, great B movie reference. That movie. I love that movie. People get the memes from that. Like that's memes the movie. It's like. Sorry, I won't go on a B movie tangent, but I appreciate that they feature Ray Liotta in the movie. I was like, wow, that's incredible. It's incredible you're here. So, I would look for the largest tooth in a fossil record to get a rough estimate of potential size. Ooh, like that, Howard. I'm going to star that. That's actually a really good point. I wonder what the largest tooth is. I wonder if they'll mention that. Let's check really quick. Platus, Sherry, Plicatus, Carcharodon, carcharias. Late Miocene to recent. That's a really good point. I want to see if they have a comment on this fossilguide.com. Oh, this is cool. Once the great white Carcharodon carcharias appeared, it seems to have quickly spread, as fossil teeth are found in mid-Miocene exposures in Brazil, Chile, Argentina, Cuba, and definitely Virginia. They are in Virginia. By the early Pliocene and near global distribution. That's actually really cool. No comments on size, unfortunately, but that's a really good comment, Howard. That's a really good point as far as like trying to estimate the maximum size. This is interesting. Speaking of size, there are unconfirmed reports of white sharks growing to 23 feet. So the official maximum record is 21 feet, which is still massive, but it's kind of cool to think about, like, unconfirmed 23-foot record. And then, again, in Jaws, as a reference, as just like a fiction reference, Jaws is a 25-foot shark. So Bruce is the name of the shark from Jaws. Film trivia, but the robot they made is Bruce. But let's see. Kind of funny comment. It's one of the best known sharks, yet relatively little is known about its biology. I kind of disagree. We have a lot of information on the species. I usually talk about what sharks look like. I haven't for this because great whites are just so charismatic. But I guess if I had to, it's really the key features. Are it's huge. It's just there's no other shark that really attains this kind of size. Like there's no other modern shark that really like is this big and is predatory with the triangular shaped teeth. It has a stark demarcation of gray on the back and white on the belly. Other sharks kind of have more of a blended look, like bull sharks and sandbar sharks. They blend from gray to white. It's a blended transition from the dorsal to the ventral surface. But white sharks, it's a very sharp line. So that's another way to kind of tell them apart. They have a huge head, a very large first dorsal fin and very small second dorsal fin, and then equal sized caudal fins and very large pectoral fins with the black tips. So there's no other shark that looks like that. It's pretty unmistakable as far as like just because like the close cousins like mako sharks. Makos are just they're thinner, they're more streamlined, their eyes look bigger. Poor beagles, they're kind of more like the snub nose pocket great white. They look more compressed. There's no other shark that really truly looks like a white shark. So, I appreciate this fun fact. The white shark, along with several other lamniform sharks, is endothermic, or warm-blooded, allowing it to maintain a body temperature that is higher than the surrounding waters. Really cool adaptation that we first learned with the poor beagle and the salmon sharks. And then tuna. Tuna also are endothermic. And it's really cool. Like, it makes sense. These are all large, cold water animals. And white sharks do occur in tropical waters too, but these are large animals that hunt in cold temperate waters as well, and they use that higher blood or body temperature to move quickly through the cold water environment. It's really cool, and also like they just pack so much energy when they launch their attacks. So common name. Oh, this is really fun. I forgot about this. The white shark is also known as the white pointer. So Australia, white pointer is a very fun classic name for this species. White shark, great white. Named for the appearance of dead specimens lying ventral side up on deck with their stark white underbelly exposed. Gotcha. I didn't know that that's where the name came from, actually, so it's pretty interesting. Other common English names are man-eater shark and white death. Both of these are very old. So these are valid names. They aren't silly names. They actually do come from like the 50s. But they're very, very, very old. And they're not in use now. So other names for the great white. Here we go. Valkohai in Finnish. That's actually really cool. And Nequim in Portuguese. That's a cool name. Zarlax Ludojaj in Polish. So cool. Importance of humans. Yeah, I don't want to get into like. Again, there has been a lot of trophy hunting, and I don't really want to get into that. Danger to humans. White sharks have been credited more fatal attacks on humans than other species of sharks due primarily to size, power, and feeding behavior. And also misidentification. It is again a dangerous species. It is definitely responsible for compared to other sharks an unusually high amount of shark attacks. But some of these are misidentification. There's so many like white shark attack specials on Shark Week that I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that topic. I think it'd be cooler to spend time on lesser known topics for the species. We talked about population. Threat of habitat loss is not significant for white sharks. They are adaptable predators capable of shifting diet as conditions dictate and may simply move away from an area with little food. That's actually really cool. I didn't know that they can do that. And that's actually amazing because, not many animals cross oceans and are able to have such large ranges. And it's actually kind of cool to see that if white sharks aren't really getting what they need in one location, they'll switch to another one. And I actually kind of wonder, thinking out loud, if that's what's going on with Cape Cod, where now that the seals are reintroduced, the white sharks are starting to, flock to that location. Like they're coming from other parts of the ocean where maybe they're not really getting what they need. So that's actually really cool. The most significant challenge for effectively managing white shark populations stems from the lack of accurate data associated with fecundity, age, growth, and population numbers. Given the lack of reliable data, it has been proposed that protective measures be based on a precautionary principle until more biological information has been collected. Research indicates that shark populations, including those of the white shark, will dwindle unless measures for their protection are implemented. Some governments, such as those in South Africa, Australia, and the United States, already protect the white shark. And that's especially cool because these are, I know South Africa and Australia, and I'm sure the United States does. I don't know off the top of my head who in the United States does white shark dives. I imagine it's got to be Southern California. New England does shark dives, but they don't focus on white sharks specifically. I don't, to the best of my knowledge, that might change with the rising white shark population in Massachusetts, but if it hasn't changed already. But I think mentioning population, I do want to hop over to an article about baby white sharks. So I had one. There we go. There we go. This is actually pretty famous. You might have seen this before, but and I'll go back to that picture in a second. Novel aerial observations of a possible newborn white shark in Southern California by Carlos Gauna and Philip C. Stearns. The white shark is the largest macropredatory fish in the world. That's a very impressive statement. You know how they say that whale sharks are the largest fish in the world? The white shark is the largest macropredatory fish in the world. That's actually really cool. Yet there remains a paucity of data on the early life history and reproduction of this iconic shark. Here we present aerial observations of an individual white shark that appears to be... I apologize if I don't say this correctly. I probably should be able to say this correctly. Sloughing? I think it's sloughing, and I apologize if I didn't say that correctly, but sloughing a white film from its body. We propose two possibilities for the possession of the white film. One, this is a newly born white shark with intrauterine substances still adhered to its body, or 2, this white shark has an unknown skin disorder resulting in shedding, discharge, or possibly a microbial growth over the dermal layer. We discussed the possibility that this individual is a newborn and its implications for the Southern California region as a critical birthing location. So this came out 2024, so a year ago. Actually, literally a year ago. Received August 2023, accepted January 5th, 2024. So this is only a year ago, hot off the press. And this was a really famous study where scientists in their very good, like well-intentioned tradition, they were not quick to say this is definitely a baby white shark. Even though it really, 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 really strongly looks like a baby white shark, to the point where I personally believe this is a baby white shark coming from a nursery area. I personally believe that this is a baby white shark from a nursery area. I believe this is a newborn white shark. But, you know, I appreciate the good practice and effort by the scientific community who did not rush to the conclusion, because I think that's good science. Like, you need to have more empirical data to really like support that. But I just want to say on record, I do think this is a baby white shark. There's a couple of signs of that too. You can see that the first dorsal fin seems to be a little bit curved back and a little bit softer. It's not as sharp looking as, you know, larger white sharks. And baby as in newborn, like baby as in like, you know, like this may have, you know, just been birthed. So I could see how you could say this may be a skin disorder, because you can see the patch back there on the upper caudal fin, and then just like the patchiness on the lower caudal fin. But let's look at more detail in terms of like the discussion. Like what I really would like to see the summary of this. Oh, locations with high residency of young of the year white sharks. So you got Santa Barbara, and location of the white shark with white film. Oh, there it is, like right there. That's also really strong evidence, or like really strong support of the idea that this is probably a baby white shark. Where young of the year sharks, like they probably stick, if like most sharks, they probably stick to one nursery area for their first year of life. Like baby sharks' ranges are usually pretty small, and then as they get bigger and bigger, they go into more challenging habitats and larger habitats. So it's probably a baby white shark that may have just been birthed. But let's see. Oh, here we go. Images of one of several large likely mature sharks filmed the days prior to the dam in the same area as pale white shark being spotted. Okay, so here is a very large individual, somewhat girthy looking shark. Can't tell from this angle if this is a male or a female. Image of a white shark that has suffered abrasions due to a fishing leader that retains after being released by fishermen. This one looks a bit thinner. Alright, I'm just gonna skim through. Okay. Interesting point. If this is indeed a newborn individual, this demonstrates the critical importance of this area in Southern California to Eastern Pacific white sharks. White sharks are highly protected off California, but incidental catches by fishermen do occur. Although individuals are released, some may retain hooks and fishing leaders that cause stress, damage, and possible subsequent death to the individuals. So, well, let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'll post this article in the chat as well, because it's a pretty cool read. Oh, Roy, interesting. Oh, just its little face, too cute. Oh, thank you, Howard. Sloughing. Gotcha. I appreciate that a lot. Thank you. Like shedding. Gotcha. Looks similar. Roy looks similar to juvenile white sharks in Monterey Bay Aquarium when it comes its shaping. That's really cool. That reminds me, white sharks are famous, or I should say infamously, like, very bad to have in aquaria. Like, you can't... They're notoriously, I would say, nearly impossible, if not impossible, to keep in aquaria. And I think that kind of relates to the fact that it just is a species that ranges so widely and requires a diet of such, like, seals. And it's just... White sharks often die in captivity. They're really hard to keep. Sand tigers and sandbars and bonnet heads, like, those are pretty easy to keep. Nurse sharks are extremely easy to keep. They're very happy and fat in aquariums. But white sharks, you really, I really like that about them. It's like they can't be tamed. So, but that's a really cool comment, Roy, on just like the fins, kind of like, and look at even the pectoral fins. They look like just pointed backwards, as if like it's kind of like that compression. Like, it makes sense that the fins are more, and baby shark fins are like more flexible at birth, and then once those sharks are born, they as they swim in the water, they get a little bit stiffer and stiffer and stiffer. So it helps, like, when they're actually being born, that the body is more compact and flexible. It eases that process, but so it's kind of cool to see that the fins are kind of curved back and like they look just more rounded and soft. So I think this is, again, I know this is, you can't say this because there's not enough evidence, but I think this is a newborn white shark. And I love that Mingus. He is very, very cute. So I think this is a good time to mention the contest for, there's a new contest to celebrate episode 100. So I think this is a good moment, since it's a little past 10:30, to talk about our new shark contest, the prizes, and the rules. So to celebrate episode 100, we are doing a fossil tooth giveaway, where we are including a megalodon tooth, a Carcharodon anguistidens tooth. These are all free genuine fossil giveaways. Dr. Jaws books, and a copy of Sharks of the World, a pocket guide, the newest edition. And I'm really excited that the theme of this contest is going to be lamniforms, both living and extinct. So the rules of the contest is to create a piece of art depicting lamniforms. Depicting it could be one species, so it could be a great white shark, it could be a mako, it could be a goblin shark, it could be a basking shark, from modern day. It could be a prehistoric shark, so it could be a megalodon, it could be anguistidens, it could be a todus, it could be anything that would be considered to be a valid lamniform. So lamniform is the order of mackerel sharks. So let me go ahead and introduce, and thank you guys so much for celebrating episode 100 with me, and like, I'm glad we're all together, to just be here. It's really cool and kind of bizarre to think about 100 episodes have passed. So let me type up the rules in the chat. Please submit an original work of art depicting one or more lamniform sharks, either living or extinct, to Dr. Jaws Sharks at Gmail. There we go. So, and I have to say, by Sunday, or I guess midnight. No, 11:59. Sorry. Sunday. January 12th. Okay. Okay. So awesome. So please submit an original work of art depicting one or more lamniform sharks, either living or extinct, to drjawssharks@gmail.com. This is the due date is by 11:59 p.m. Eastern on Sunday, January 12th. Monday, January 13th. I'll be nice, but it would be very hard to judge the day of the stream. So please adhere to the deadline of 11:59 Sunday, January 12th. So I will be nice and accept submissions past that, but it makes things a lot easier that that's the deadline. So just Monday is a fluff border, but Sundays before midnight on that Sunday is the official contest deadline. So please send the original work of art to that address, and I will review, and we'll show all pieces of art on next week's stream. But good luck, everybody. I think it's a really fun way to celebrate episode 100. And again, the winner will get a prize package with genuine shark fossils from lambda forms of the ancient past, as well as original books by myself, and then also a copy of Sharks of the World by is Ebert, right? David E. Ebert, Mark Dando. It's just the go-to guide. It's so cool, and we've done a couple contests before, so if you have that book already, we will substitute with another for the prize. So, but good luck, everybody, and I'll post more on the community page if there's any kind of hints, or for anyone who may not be on the stream, kind of to increase competition. I'll put that on the community page as well, like the rules and stuff. So good luck, and please let me know if you have any questions in the chat for the contest. But thank you for being here for episode 100, and thank you for celebrating just together. I think this is going to be a really fun contest, celebrating the lambda forms. So, but we're not done yet with the white shark. We're going to keep going, and I think I might push it a little bit tonight because there's just so much really cool stuff on this species. So, and also if you have any questions, and if you have a shark for next week, please leave those comments in the chat. So we'll go back to Florida Museum. I definitely want to go through the orca predation stuff. So we'll check out some more top level information on white sharks, and then we'll go through orca predation, and then we might wrap it up for the night. But and I want to make sure I didn't miss any footage on the species. So. The white shark makes occasional forays into cold boreal waters and has been recorded off Alaskan and Canadian coasts. It occurs in the western Atlantic from Newfoundland to Florida, along the Gulf of Mexico, Bahamas and Cuba, Brazil and Argentina. So pretty much all over the world, but it's really cool that David documented Alaska. It's kind of cool that it's sharing a range of salmon sharks, which is a cousin. Habitat. White sharks spend most of their time in the open water called nearshore waters. However, they range from flying to the open ocean and from the surface to depths over 1,300 meters. White sharks also commonly patrol small coastal archipelagos inhabited by seals, sea lions, and walruses. Offshore reef. I wonder if a white shark has gone after a walrus. I wouldn't be surprised if they did, but I've never heard of that before. Offshore reefs, banks, and shoals, and rocky headlands where deep water drop-offs come close to the shoreline. White sharks usually cruise in a purposeful manner, either just off the bottom or near the surface, but spend relatively little time at mid-water depths. There's a really cool piece of footage here. This is it. And this is actually really freaky, because it almost looks like this is like a... I don't think this is a spear fisherman, but this is somebody who doesn't seem to be with a cage. Can you imagine just being face to face with this animal? You know, like this is, you know, a dangerous shark. This is the lion of the seas, you know, and this is not going to be interrupted by an ad. There we go. This is the lion of the seas. I think big cats are a really good analogy for large predatory sharks because, you know, clearly like people like big cats. You know, they can interact with big cats safely and not so safely. You know, clearly there's a lot of people who spend time with tigers and lions and, you know, leopards and everything. And there's a lot of people who are killed by those things or eaten by those things. And, you know, lions, tigers, leopards, like, you know, they're the work of art. They are the subject of fascination. They're the subject of ecotourism. People love going on safaris, looking for these animals, you know. But they are dangerous, and people don't want to be one-on-one alone in the middle of a savanna or, you know, a jungle, especially with a tiger. but with a big cat. And likewise, it's kind of amazing to kind of capture that same feeling, not with an ad, with this, the same feeling with this kind of animal. Just as I don't know what I would do. Like, I would feel comfortable in a cage, to be really real. I would feel comfortable in a cage. I don't know what I would do seeing a white shark in the water. If I was with a dive group, I might be okay, but if I was one-on-one, I would be really, really freaking out, to be honest. Fun fact, white sharks have been seen on one of the most famous dive sites off Virginia Beach. This is Chesapeake Light Tower, which I really want to go to someday. I'm super excited, and there hasn't been a lot of operations out there lately, but when they open up, I really want to go. But they did see a white shark off the tower. I think this was like 3 years ago, and it's like, oh my gosh, they're here. I know they're here, but it's just so cool to like imagine could be happening. I'm sure my fiance would hate that, but yeah. It will be fine. So they're really rare. They're really rare off here. But yeah, these divers are having a safe, fun experience in the cage. But still, even that is just thrilling. It's just such a beautiful animal. And this is kind of like a cool comparison of scale a little bit. I wonder if you can get a close up of like how big this shark is. Actually, I think I do have a piece of footage showing that. This one. This is a cool clip from the Australian Museum of Natural... I think it's Museum of Natural History. Or just the Australian Museum. It's grainy footage, but it's a really good clip seeing how big the mouth is compared to a human head. There you go. So look at that. Look how big that shark is. That really does it right there. Let's see. Speaking of Australia, there's a famous shark diver who was a survivor of shark attack by a white shark, Roddy Fox. And he's quoted with a lot of cool stuff, but saying that white sharks have distinct personalities. It's kind of cool to see that, like, this one in particular, he seems a little bit more gentle, nudging up against the cage. It's kind of like a more of an investigatory bite, like a little bit more curious, not aggressive. But it's kind of cool to see, like, or to kind of juxtapose that quote with, or not juxtapose, but compare that quote with the behavior of this particular shark. Let's see him coming up to the cage, where some white sharks are shy and kind of exemplify shyness. Some are really bold. The fact that even that individual white sharks can demonstrate a range of personalities is just extremely cool. And also a hint again at a little bit of intelligence, like a little bit. There might be more going on with this particular species. Speaking of diving, another favorite, sharksarrays.com by photographer Andy Merck, who is an incredible photographer. I'm actually really curious to see the dive notes on this species, so let's check it out. Whew! An extremely dangerous shark species that is implicated in numerous unprovoked fatal attacks. When encountered on or around reefs, white sharks are generally cautious but may approach closely. If a white shark is spotted whilst on a normal dive, it would be wise to leave the water at the first opportunity. And okay, this is really cool, and this is giving me chills in a good way, because Andy Merck is an amazing shark photographer, and I would say conservation advocate. And he's not one for sensationalism. He doesn't really he's not jazzing people up. He's being very honest. As it carries a lot of weight when he says this is a dangerous shark, and this is one that you should mind to the point of consider your own safety and remove yourself from the water if you see it. Pretty interesting. White shark attacks are most common on divers that are spearfishing or near seal and sea lion colonies where attacks may be from misidentification. In baited situations, white sharks are generally quite cautious, but most will eventually come very close to the cage, sometimes even biting at the bars. Some operators offer the opportunity for experienced divers to dive outside of the cage. Regardless of the presence of a safety diver, this is an extremely dangerous activity that is frowned upon by most other operators and is illegal in most areas where white shark cage diving is available. As well as the danger to oneself, an attack will almost certainly have negative repercussions for the white sharks and white shark tourism in that area. So that's an amazing point where it's like, it's not just like, hey, please don't be stupid for your own sake, but please respect the consequences of what would happen to the shark. If you like had an incident outside the cage, it's not just, your life is in danger. It's also like the sharks might be persecuted and hunted, and you might be hurting them directly, and you might be having a negative economic impact on the dive operator and the tourism in that area. And you also might ultimately have a very negative impact on tourism in general, or like conservation in general. Sorry, conservation in general, because like ecotourism is a really beautiful way of like inspiring conservation, inspiring people to like protect nature and to really see the beauty of nature. And kind of a stupid thing like this, has a really negative impact. So that's really cool, and I really appreciate. Wait! What just happened? Wait! Minges, if I ran in... Sorry, I think I misread World War II. If I ran into one in the water without a cage, I just accept it's probably my time to go. I think white sharks will intelligent sharks. Minges, you saw one without a cage? Oh wait, never mind. Jump to conclusions. Too much. Yeah. I love that. It's hilarious. Howard, I think the main thing is to remain calm. Agreed. Definitely agreed. And again, I mentioned the Chesapeake Light Tower. They were not looking for white sharks. They were just diving the Light Tower, which is a popular dive site where you mostly see like really cool reef fish. Occasionally you might see a shark, specifically maybe a sand tiger or a sand devil. They have seen sand devils at the seabed. I think in that area, I might be getting that confused with a Delaware dive site. But anyway, the white shark just appeared out of nowhere, just like that footage that we looked at with the sand tiger sharks on the wreck. The great white just appeared out of nowhere. So, and that speaks to the first situation where it's like they're not looking for it, they're not chumming for it, they don't want to see it. They're doing a different kind of dive, and they were not expecting white sharks. So that's a situation where, okay, the shark's in the area, we should probably get out of the water. But for the filmographer, that was an amazing thing to see. Like, that was just like a once in a lifetime, like, wow, like you're very lucky. But for someone who is doing a planned dive where you know that white sharks are here, you don't want to consciously put yourself in that situation. So, diving logistics. White sharks can be reliably encountered at a handful of places. I'm going to take a sip of water as I read this. Australia. Operators run multi-day liveboard dive trips from Port Lincoln in South Australia to the Neptune Islands. Encounters are generally good for much of the year. The most unique aspect of diving here is a submersible cage, which, weather permitting, is lowered onto the seafloor, so the divers are able to enjoy the perspective of the sharks swimming towards them over the reef. That's really cool. Big Fish Expeditions runs Neptune Island cage diving trips in April-May when the big female white sharks are in residence. Unbelievable. New Zealand. Great white cage diving trips take place at Stewart Island in the far south of the country. Mexico, currently closed but may eventually reopen. About a dozen live-aboard dive vessels run white shark cage diving trips to Guadalupe Island, very famous location, off the western coast of Baja, Mexico. Most boats leave from Ensenada. The encounters are seasonal. Trips are usually offered between June and November, although the sharks are there a bit longer. Small males 3 to 4 meters arrive first at the beginning of the season. The bigger females arrive in September. The visibility at Guadalupe is exceptional and the encounters are consistent. Most boats have surface cages for non-certified divers and a submersible cage as low as 10 meters for a different perspective. That's super cool, actually. USA. So this is what I'm really curious about. I'm not familiar because it's not... here we go. Okay, sorry. There are single-day cage diving trips offered to the Farallon Islands of California. However, no one is allowed to chum for sharks, so the encounters are very hit and miss. On the East Coast, great white sharks have started to return. On the East Coast, great white sharks have started returning to the gray seal colonies off New England since the gray seal numbers have rebounded. No chumming or cage diving is allowed in the area, but anyone who decides to dive near the colony should keep an eye out for large shapes in the mist. Interesting. So, that's a little scary. Okay. Noted, actually, because I do want to dive in New England. So, yeah, noted. Oh my gosh. Canada. In Nova Scotia, at least one operator is now offering cage diving trips. Go Canada. Oh my gosh. Poor visibility and intermittent shark activity appear to be a problem in this area. The fact that Canada is even doing it is really cool and really impressive. So, and I actually really love that because I know, I know Canada's not famous for shark science, but Canada does a robust amount of shark science. There's actually like quite a few really cool research programs in Canada, and I especially love this because a big part of our community is Canadian. So it's really cool to see that. Guess what, Canada? There is white shark diving. Canada offers great white diving in Nova Scotia, so that's actually really cool. South Africa is probably the famous location. Operators based in Simonstown used to visit Sea Island. I don't know if it's Sea Island or Seal Island from June through September each year, but the white sharks disappeared in 2019 after some were attacked by orcas. The lure of 70,000 Cape fur seals will probably bring the sharks back eventually. Visibility at Seal Island and elsewhere in South Africa is usually very green. Seal Island was the best place to watch breaching great white sharks. The boats towed a decoy that the sharks attacked, often explosively jumping clear out of the water in the attempts to incapacitate their prey. Gansbaai is another area for cage diving in South Africa. Some operators drop their cages quite close to the coast, others take their guests to a dire island. So, oh man, these are unbelievable. So I do want to take a look at some of these photographs. Just gorgeous animal. Beautiful shot by Andy Merck. Guadalupe Island from Mexico. So they said in the dive notes, unbelievable visibility here. One of the famous sharks, I think, is also from Guadalupe. I forget the name of this individual, but there was a famous white shark that was filmed off Guadalupe. There's also an infamous... I don't want to throw shade at this person, but there was like an infamous conservation... There's an infamous conservationist who did free diving with them, and she was criticized very heavily for doing that because it's giving off this image that... It reminds me of like Grizzly Man, like Timothy Treadwell, the guy who thought he could be friends with grizzly bears and then was eaten by grizzly bears. It's like, you gotta be really careful and you really have to show these animals respect. I mean, they're beautiful and they're incredible, but respect is the key word. Like they have evolved to hunt enormous prey items. They have evolved to hunt marine mammals. And if you are a mammal in the ocean, you're a marine mammal. So just be careful. Just be careful. Just don't take risks like that, Oh, great photo, actually. Kind of like this front on, like, hello. But yeah, just be careful. That's a great shot. Sorry, what an incredible shot of this species. I always just appreciate like the power of this animal. This is just such an incredible, beautiful animal. But again, just be careful and be respectful, because again, it's just like a tiger or a lion. It's equally beautiful, equally inspiring, but this is a huge part of what it is, and it's something that has to be treated with reverence and respect. I've talked about this before. Shark teeth are razor sharp, and if this was a smaller shark, it would already be just really devastating if it bit you. But this is an enormous draw set that is bigger than your head, and it's just to be on the receiving end of that is like just it's horrifying to imagine. So an incredible animal, beautiful, powerful, completely worthy of respect. So, By the way, kind of fun trivia fact: the bite force of sharks is actually not that much different from the bite force of humans. The only difference is the sharks have the razor sharp teeth, and proportionally much larger jaws. So, and also I will say humans have their jaws like, the upper jaws fused to the skull in humans, but white sharks, or all sharks, the jaws can be launched from the head, and so it's like the jaws can be launched forward, and they operate as like kind of like this incredible like trap, like it's just, I don't know, or this guillotine. It's just ferocious. Love it. Oh, this is a great shot. So on the softer side of things, this is exactly what I was talking about. I wonder if I can't zoom in on that. This is a great shot. This is the iris I was talking about. See this beautiful thin blue iris? This is it. So white sharks do not have all black eyes like the doll's eyes that Quint was saying. They have actually a subtle beauty, like this really pretty blue iris around their eyes. So it's kind of amazing that this animal is the spectrums of like, here's like the nightmare image of like, coming from the mist, like the enormous jaws of the ocean. And then, here's like just the beauty of it too, where it's like there's subtleties to the shark, there's nuances to it. It's an incredible animal. So, oh my gosh. We're past 11, so I do want to focus on one last study that I think is going to be really cool. Bear trap fish, yeah. Love that. We're going to Nova Scotia, yeah. Love that. Amazing picks. Absolutely agree, Howard. Absolutely agree. So I think to wrap everything up, I do think this is a really cool study, and I thought it was amazing to see like actual images related to it. So let's check it out. Direct observation of killer whales preying on white sharks as evidence of a flight response. So this is by Allison V. Towner, Allison A. Cox, Christian Stopforth, David Hurwitz, and Simon Elwin. It's the abstract, right? Oh, I guess they're just diving right into it. So, no abstract? Okay, no abstract. What is this? This is the Scientific Naturalist, Ecological Society of America. Okay. Be used to an abstract, but here we go. Killer whales and white sharks are main apex predators that shape prey behavior and even entire ecosystems through direct predation effects and indirect fear effects. Killer whales are known to occasionally hunt white sharks, although only 3 studies have formally described this behavior and the associated flight response in white sharks. However, direct observation of predation has been lacking given rise to speculation on the hunting strategies used by killer whales to capture and kill white sharks and the subsequent behavioral impact on surviving white sharks in the area where the predation took place, including the cues and timing of shark responses to these events. On May 16, 2022, author and hobbyist and the author Christian Stopforth, a hobbyist drone pilot, filmed a group of killer whales at Hartenabos Beach in Rivermouth, Mossel Bay, South Africa, using a private drone, DJI Mavic Air S with 5 killer whales were observed for around 40 minutes, and the drone followed them for a total of 30 minutes. Owing to drone memory and battery constraints, only the 2 segments described here were recorded. Initially, the group of 5 killer whales were together, but separated as direct observation began, with KW1 starboard, a male killer whale implicated in earlier shark predation in South Africa, and KW2, so this is killer whale 1, killer whale 2, unidentified, began moving 500 meters east toward the Hartenbos River mouth, a known high-use area for white sharks. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, starboard actually sounds familiar. Did we talk about starboard on a stream a couple months ago? That actually sounds kind of familiar. Let me know if you guys remember that. And I'm trying to remember, because I thought there was a study about killer whales hunting sharks for their liver oil. Yeah, I don't know. I thought there was one. Anyway, I could be wrong. Anyway, 500 meters east towards the Hartenbos River mouth, a known high-use area for white sharks. The drone first flew over 3 of the 5 killer whales around 400 meters, and we'll go into that a little bit. Hartenbos Beach and started recording. The following event was filmed as a single clip with all 3 whales continuously visible in the frame. Killer whale 3 and killer whale 4 were observed swimming close together on the surface, but facing opposite directions. I I guess we'll look at the figures now. So here we go, because it's probably going to be a little difficult to visualize. So here we go. So here's a white shark right here. There is killer whale 4. Yeah. I'm assuming it's killer whale 5. Killer whale 5 releases bubbles as it pursues white shark to the surface. Interesting. Killer whale 5 attempts to invert white shark and pushes it sideways. So here we go. This is actually really incredible. So it looks like, and that's actually really scary. So firstly, just note the size of all of these animals. So we know that white sharks are big, and we know this is an adult white shark. This is not one of the juveniles that we saw earlier. So you imagine the size of this animal, and then the size of the orcas around it. It's just unbelievable to think about. So, but it looks like this huge orca rammed the belly of the white shark, and dolphins are infamous for ramming each other. A lot of dolphins, even bottlenose dolphins, they will do that, and they break bones. Like the amount of speed that they can build up and the force of them ramming each other is enough to break bones. So I can't imagine the world's largest dolphin, aka the orca, ramming a white shark and what the force of that would be. It probably feels like getting hit by a train, to be honest. So you have a killer whale ramming the white shark on the underside. You can see blood spilling from it. Killer whale, oh wow, 5 bites into the white shark behind pectoral fin, blood cloud seen. And the shark is not doing well because that is, being on its side is, not normal. It's, sharks rarely, this is borderline unhealthy position to be in. Sharks want to be, like, they can approach the surface from the side. They can swim at a slight angle, but not full tilt like this. Because like the further you push sharks on to their underside, the more you can get into a phenomenon called tonic immobility, where sharks are, if they're inverted, they're kind of overstimulated, like their ampullae lorenzini are overstimulated, and they go into like a catatonic state. So sharks want to be upright for the most part, so that white shark is not looking good. Killer whale 5 takes the white shark to depth and moves off. So I think that might, well, I can't tell what that is. Killer whale 3 rapidly approaches. So it looks like that might be the white shark there, this white blur. Here's the orca, killer whale 5. Killer whale 4, then starboard is somewhere else. Oh, here we go. In this other panel, a helicopter, this is starboard, and this is a liver, so this is probably the shark's liver, and he's eating that. There we go. This is kind of amazing to see, killer whales go after white sharks, and it's kind of amazing to see, like, confirmed photographic evidence of this. So, sad to see. I mean, I'm a huge, as you know, huge shark person, so hate to see, a marine mammal hurt a shark, but then again, sharks, hurt marine mammals, so... let's see, but pretty amazing stuff, and I actually really liked how it tied back to Howard's piece of art for tonight. It's just really cool, kind of full circle. We started the stream with this piece, and I really appreciate that, full circle. Like, it's depicting an event where there's a lot of cool recent research, on this dynamic of killer whales and white sharks interacting. So, let's see. I'm just gonna scan through the rest of this. There is something interesting. So, the videos provided new insights into evasive behavior employed by white sharks. Killer whales closely but slowly follow white sharks, which in turn displayed evasive actions by tightly circling the killer whales while keeping them within sight. Interesting. So the white sharks are aware killer whales are bad news. I mentioned that white sharks tend to avoid Washington State in the United States because orcas are very popular in that area. And it's kind of cool to see that there might be a conscious dynamic going on where the white sharks are like, no, I know what this is and I don't want to be here. Similarly, Cape fur seals had a better chance of evading white sharks by staying close to them and keeping the shark within sight. And turtles successfully evaded tiger sharks by swimming in tight circles around the shark. Interesting. Oh, interesting. So what they're saying is, so fur seals do better surviving a white shark attack when they stick close to the white shark and keep an eye on it. Similarly, white sharks might be employing the same kind of tactic to killer whales where they're keeping an eye on it. Interesting. However, because killer whales are social and hunt in groups, this evasive tactic may not be effective. The energetic needs of an adult male killer whale are roughly equivalent to the energetic value of the liver of an adult white shark, and even small populations with specialized diets can have profound impact on ecosystems. Although behavioral implications are beyond the scope of the study, we show that more killer whales are hunting white sharks in South Africa than just the 2 previously identified ones. If cultural transmission between killer whales is occurring, this is really cool. So whales have culture. I don't know the details of it. I think vaguely, whales exchange songs or behaviors, but it's kind of amazing to think about that. Sharks don't have culture. Sharks are a very different kind of animal, and I love them. They're amazing. So it's a different mindset for me to understand that marine mammals like killer whales do have culture and do are able to share and translate behaviors or communicate behaviors. But this is really cool. If cultural transmission between killer whales is occurring, it will have wider reaching impacts on shark populations and will need to be considered in future studies. So, again, I'm not as familiar with marine mammals as far as how they display and communicate culture. We know that they have very sophisticated communication with each other, like the whistles and clicks. They're so smart that they can demonstrate behavior. So say you have maybe a visiting transient pod of orca whales saying hi to the South African pod, and the South African whales teach the transient pod white shark hunting. The transient pod will go back to where they came from or keep roaming the ocean, and oh my gosh, there's a white shark, which is also a cosmopolitan species. Let's go do what we learned from South Africa and hunt it. So it's pretty amazing. It's incredible how connected the ocean is, and just that's a really, really cool dynamic. Sad because, again, I'm team shark, but still, very, very cool dynamic to see. And the Farallones, when a white shark was taken by an orca, all the white sharks on all sides of the islands went out to sea immediately. Howard, that is so cool. That is so, so cool. Oh my gosh. And for their livers. There's an amazing clip by drone of an orca attack on a white shark. Let me see if I can find that. Let's cap off episode 100. Let's cap off episode 100 with a happy white shark clip. But let's look at, I do want to find this footage. So orcas attack white shark. Yeah, orcas kill great white shark. I don't want to see an ad. It's episode 100. They're treating it like it's my birthday or something. Oh my gosh, no. I don't want to see an ad. I don't want to see a happy family. I want to see death. Okay, here we go. But not shark death. Okay. Oh my gosh. I don't know if this is the clip you were saying, Howard, but look at that. Let me rewind at full screen. Whew! That is literally like a train. That's scary how fast that is. Can you imagine an animal the size of an orca whale? I think Roy said earlier that, the shark is like a car. This is like a truck. Can you imagine a truck, just barreling through the ocean, slamming you with that force? It's wild. So that's really wild. I'm a little... Killer whales are really interesting because when I was doing learning scuba diving last year, I trained alongside Navy contractors, and I forget who I think two of my dive buddies were Navy contractors. One of them was, I think, just having fun. I forget where the other one was from, but two of them were Navy contractors, and I think one of them at least was from like former Navy, and they shared with me that there's only one animal that the Navy advises you don't want to be in the water with if you see it, and it's a killer whale. And I thought it was really interesting. I was like, wow, I mean, like orcas have never been documented to attack humans in the wild, so I found it very surprising. But when you see like that footage, and with the recent like boat attacks, and it like I always kind of feel like we've been living by the orcas' good graces, and now maybe the orcas are getting sick of us, and like if they do get sick of us, they will let us know. I don't know, but point being, they powerful animals. Very like it's unbelievable how much, and it just that viscerally got me, like how much force was behind that whale slamming that shark. I cannot imagine if that was applied to me. Oh, I mean, like any human, be dead. So, wow. And it's sad to see. Don't worry. I don't really want to end on that note because again, this is the superlative predator shark. Like as far as like the largest, superlative in the sense that it's the largest predatory shark in the ocean. Like the largest like macro predatory shark, I should say, because technically all sharks are predator, but we mean like the largest shark capable of handling large prey. So it's you don't want to see it get slammed, but it's also kind of amazing to see that like wow, killer whales are that powerful, that they can that they have the capability of going after white sharks. It's just kind of it's mind-boggling, really. So and again, I think more importantly, kind of seeing the relationships where it's like both great white sharks and orca whales. They're kind of like master architects of the seascape, where if an orca is in the area, it's going to shape through top-down predation effects the ecosystem of that area. If a white shark is the top predator of the area, it's going to have its own impact. So it's kind of amazing to see that these two apex predators, depending on where they are, they will have consequences that trickle down. So like orca whales in Washington have changed Washington, like altered it from what a white shark dominated Washington ecosystem looked like. And the same thing might be starting to happen in South Africa, where orca whales in South Africa are starting to shape what South Africa, the South African ecosystem, or that area in South Africa, what the coast looks like. And Howard pointed out really well in the Farallon Islands, orcas in that area have, spooked the white sharks, and the white sharks are going to other parts of the ocean and entering into other parts of the ocean. So parts of the ocean that may have historically been, devoid of white sharks, now we're starting to see them, and there's consequences there. And to tie it full circle, the influx of white sharks in New England is a new thing. So, white sharks previously weren't as populous in that area, but with the reintroduction of seals, they're coming in. So they're having an effect on that area. They're shaping the ecosystem of that area. It's so cool to see this changing relationship, or the series of changing relationships across the ocean. So cool. But I think with that, it's getting closer to 11:30, so I think I may end for the night. But guys, happy episode 100. I think this was a really fun stream. Great whites literally wait a Dodge Caravan minivan. Yes. Oh my gosh. But thank you so much. I'm scanning the chat for suggestions for next week, and no worries if there aren't any. I could do a surprise shark for next week. Actually, you know what? I think I'll do that. I think I'm going to do a surprise shark for next week, since we have the contest, the lambda-form contest. So I think that's what we'll do. So tune in next week for a surprise species and the results of the 100th episode lambda-form contest. Please submit your lambda-form submissions to... I'll just put it at the end of the chat for people who may want to check the end of the video later. drjawssharks@gmail.com. Thank you, Roy. Really appreciate that. There we go. drjawssharks@gmail.com. Thank you so much, Roy. Thank you so much, everybody who was able to join tonight. I could not have done 100 episodes without you. Sincerely, like it's. I love sharks and like I have a lot of passion for them, but it also takes just like the dedication from you guys and just like the fact that oh, thank you, Howard. Thank you, and thank you, Minjas. Thank you so much. It really takes your dedication, your passion, and like your support to get us this far. It's really cool to be celebrating episode 100 with you all. Because I wouldn't be here without you guys. Like this was a really, really cool experience, and I'm glad we've done 100 together. And do we have another 100? We definitely have hundreds of sharks left, so we'll see what happens. But Happy New Year, happy 2025, and happy episode 100. I think this was honestly one of the best, and I'm really glad that we kind of did justice to the white shark and talked about it in a lot of different ways. So, but good luck on the lambda form contest. Please let me know if you have any questions, and I'll post more details on the community chat. But good luck, and have a great week, and I'll see you next week for Surprise Mystery Shark and the contest results. But Happy New Year, guys. Cheers, and cheers to episode 100. Love you guys. Have a good one.